trying to do is that you take the club back, yeah, and then what you've got to try and do in your rotation is you've got to try and make sure you keep your pelvis very much downward facing, and this helps you kind of put pressure in towards the leg. So it's the rotation of the body which kind of, should we say, has a straightening effect on the leg, right? Rather than if we stay very centralised, which is kind of what I suppose you kind of did in the reverse pivoting motion, is that because of going upright, that would straighten the leg, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As opposed to what we're trying to do is actually stay much more downward facing in towards this position. The thing that happens though, which I'm sure people can relate to when it comes to ball striking, is that, okay, if you go this way, and then there's going to be an element of linear motion to get back to the ball, do you know what I mean? There's going to have to be. So depending on how much you move to the right means that you're going to have to re-establish that back towards the left to find the low point. Yeah? The answer is not always just to stay centred, because like I say, if you end up trying to stay centred and you're turning the pelvis downward facing, you're going to get lost and drift, which is I think where you are now. So what we're trying to do is go takeaway up towards the top, but the move that we see within professional golfers is as they're completing the top of the backswing, they're still rotating but falling, which basically means they're almost finding the low point line as they complete the top of the backswing, then they can rotate out of the way. Now, to talk about that, I think isn't that helpful, but unfortunately on YouTube we've got no other option. So with you, what we've got is a very simple exercise where you've kind of started a little bit to the right of the cane. Yeah, exactly. So if you do that again, so what we can see is if you pause it halfway, yes, so if you pause at the top as well. So the drill's very simple, that what you're basically doing is that you're moving left as you're still rotating up to the top, aren't you? Yeah. And what this is doing is this is establishing weight in towards the right hand side. But if you just hold it there, the important thing is what we can see is this is still, should we say, down here. Yeah. Whilst your fault is it's normally more horizontal. Okay. And then because it's normally more horizontal, it basically means that from this perspective, you pause again at that step. Yeah. Yeah, so it means that if you pause at that step again, what you're basically doing is by keeping yourself down facing, one, obviously, that's what I'm saying, this is going back due to the rotation, but because you're staying downward facing, you're pressure loading this, which basically means then if you kind of start your downswing, it means that there's space for this to drive into. Does that make sense? Yeah. Whilst if you swing up to the top again and pause, yeah, exactly. Now if you weren't there, and where you are is more kind of horizontal, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Then the hip just basically fires forward. So the thing that you need to do, and again I've kind of preached it on the channel, but I think talking about it in this sort of exercise will help, is yeah, trying to stay much more downward, yes, do you know what I mean, in that rotation. And then from there, if you slowly sort of transition, yeah, then you just get out of the way, similar to the last, do you know what I mean? You'd stay downward facing exactly, and then just clear as best as you possibly can. Kind of phenomenon that we're after in between now and the next lesson is because I asked you how you'd got on, and very similar to a lot of other golfers, it kind of, you know, hitting some good shots, hitting some bad shots, yeah? Yeah. So what I would try and suggest this time round is that if you go down the range, just go and hit some and just enjoy it, and, you know, try and aim at different targets and do whatever you want to do. But I'd quite like you to do this exercise more. And the reason why is that basically you'll build an awareness for the positions. So at the moment you know you haven't really been in this sort of transitional position. Yeah. And there's no point trying to hit balls, because the problem is what generally happens when people try to hit balls is you get it wrong. So then you're not really ingraining the right sort of feeling anyway. Yeah. Yeah, so I think the point is, if you just drop back a little bit for me. Yeah, so what you're trying to do is show us the takeaway. Very good. And then yeah, so takeaway up. Yeah, so basically you feel like you're shifting left, don't you? Yeah. As you're completing the top of the backswing, but because of the orientation of the body, i.e. it's pointing more down towards the right, the weight should still feel predominantly on the right. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. So like I said, anybody who's kind of watching this now, if you just keep demonstrating that for us, would probably think that the majority of the weight's on the left-hand side. But no, what you can feel is yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and this is the kind of thing that we see with pros. We see they have this sort of ability to shift left while still staying in posture. Yeah. And then from there, then you can rotate. So your kind of problem was if you show us your backswing. So let's pretend, because obviously this is slightly more downward, isn't it, than where you were. Yeah. So if you don't mind there, if you kind of show us, even the same sort of swing's fine, but then show us your kind of spin. So you swing up and pause, and then kind of show us your spinny move. Yeah. And then that was kind of the problem. Yeah, it was kind of that blockading the way for the elbow to move.
Yeah.
Now if you kind of swing back and pause, yeah, very good. And then if you slowly kind of transition, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So do it again. I mean, sorry, the transitional move is progressive of the back, isn't it? So if you kind of swing back, yeah, and then left, yeah, brilliant. And then from there, then you can kind of spin. Do you know what I mean? So it's a very subtle move. I mean, essentially what I'm kind of saying is if you stay there, is take it back and pause. Good. Sorry, halfway back. Sorry. Good. And then what we're saying is if I kind of draw a line roughly through where the golf ball's located to your low point line, as you swing up, you're trying to fall left of this line. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so up you go. Yeah, very good. But the weight stays on the right because everything is pointing down here, yeah?
Yeah.